Before we begin, if you love mysterious true crime stories, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we'll ever know who Jack the Ripper really was? Let's dive into one of the most chilling unsolved cases in history. Whitechapel, London, autumn of 1888. The streets were dark, narrow, and filled with fear. In the heart of London's East End, the neighborhood of Whitechapel was known for poverty, crime, and desperation. The air smelled of smoke, sewage, and hopelessness. Women walked the streets at night, often forced into sex work just to survive. It was here that a shadow emerged, a figure who would go down in history as Jack the Ripper. The canonical 5 between August and November 1888, at least 5 women fell victim to a killer who seemed to know exactly what he was doing. Marion Nichols, found on August 31, 1888. Her throat had been deeply cut, and her body bore brutal knife wounds. Annie Chapman, discovered on September 8th. Her abdomen had been cut open, and some of her organs were missing. Elizabeth Stride, found on September 30th. Her throat was cut, but the rest of the attack seemed interrupted, possibly because the killer was disturbed. Catherine Eddowes, murdered less than an hour later, on the same night. Her face was mutilated, and her internal organs were removed. Mary Jane Kelly, found on November 9th, inside her small room. This was the most horrific scene of all. Her body was completely disfigured and almost unrecognizable. These murders weren't random acts of violence. They were precise, deliberate, and filled with a disturbing level of anatomical knowledge. Letters from the killer. While the police struggled to make progress, the newspapers were flooded with letters, supposedly from the killer. The most famous was the Dear Boss letter, which introduced the name Jack the Ripper for the very first time. Another, chilling message, known as the From Hell letter, came with a small box. Inside was half a human kidney, said to belong to one of the victims. Whether these letters were from the killer himself or cruel hoaxers remains a mystery. The suspects over the decades, dozens of suspects have been named. Some of the most notable include Montague John Druitt, a barrister and teacher who took his own life shortly after the murders. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber with severe mental health issues. Walter Sickert, a famous painter, whose artwork some believe held hidden clues. George Chapman, convicted of poisoning multiple women years later. Despite countless investigations, no one has ever been definitively proven to be Jack the Ripper. Impact on society. The murders changed London forever. The Ripper case exposed the grim realities of life for women in poverty and showed the terrifying power of the media. Newspaper headlines turned the killer into a dark legend, and the fear he created lasted long after the killings stopped. Still unsolved more than 130 years later, the question remains, who was Jack the Ripper? Modern DNA analysis has offered possible leads, but nothing conclusive. And maybe that's why this story still haunts us, the idea that a killer could vanish into the fog and never be caught. Pushpin outro call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's darkest mysteries, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, who do you think Jack the Ripper really was? The truth might be closer than we think, or maybe it's lost forever in the shadows of Whitechapel.